Hello everyone. On behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. We are very happy to say hello to you once again. Today we are going to be joined by Michele Snelling. The space has been named, or our conversation's topic is Living in Fear Can Block Your Chakras. Michele Snelling is an energy worker. She is a master intuitive coach, intuitive medium, aromatherapy expert. Before starting with her, I just want to remind you that Mindalia's mission is to help and share information that can help raise the level of consciousness in the planet. We are a non-profit organization, internationally working and trying to reach as much people as possible, just to, reach and get to the world we want to be in. Let's just say welcome, Michele. Michele, welcome to Mindalia. How are you doing?
I am well, Myrna. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
We are also excited to have you. We are going to be talking a little bit about, let's start, because the very title of our conversation is about how fear can block your chakras. But yes. I kind of guess that most people that are here with us will know what chakras are, but just in case someone is just reaching this for the first time in their lives and they have no idea what a chakra is, I want you are the expert. So tell us briefly, what is a chakra?
So a chakra is simply an energy center that's within our physical and our energetic body. So we have hundreds, at least, chakras in our energetic body and our physical body, but we're going to talk about the 7 main ones today. There are 7 main chakras in our physical body that we look to as humans that kind of guide us as a human and as a spiritual being. Okay. And they go, there's 7, and they start from the tailbone and go from the tailbone up to the crown of the head. And I like to think of them in 3 sections. Okay. So you have the first 3 energy centers, the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar plexus. Those are all energy centers of matter, meaning that they are really concerned with our experience as humans. So this is, our sense of safety and security, us as sexual beings, our relationships, our personal power, money, things like that. So really what it means to be human and have this human experience. The second category is the heart center, or the 4th energy center, the heart chakra. And this is really, our heart is the first brain. It's the first thing that's formed in a fetus before even our brain. So this is really, our first brain, and really what controls us when we allow it. This is what connects us to our highest self and really helps us to live the life that we're here to live. And this energy center, this 4th energy center, the heart chakra, is a bridge. It acts as a bridge that connects the lower 3 and the upper 3. So the lower 3 are all about our experience as a human. The upper 3, the 5th, 6th, and 7th, the throat, the third eye, and the crown, are all about us as spiritual beings. And one thing, this is, I think some of us know this, but I think it bears repeating because I don't think we can hear it enough. But we think we're born humans that are here to learn how to have a spiritual experience, but it's the opposite. We're born spiritual beings here to learn how to have a human experience. And that's a very different thing. And to me, what that means is we just need to remember that we're spiritual beings. We don't have to learn how to do it. We just have to remember and kind of, allow it back into our frame of reference. We spend a lot of time in the world as young people unlearning that we're spiritual beings, learning how to be human. And so we just need to remember. But we've got our human, we've got the heart, that's the bridge, and then we've got the spiritual. And you really want it to be in flow.
Michele, we kind of break ourselves with the help of our parents and our family into this human form. We do whatever it takes to the way I see it is that in order for the experience to be livable, in order for the haunted house to be scary, we need to hide the threats and the whatever reveals that the whole machinery is just a disguised teacher, right?
Yes, so absolutely.
Fear. How do we get from being these eternal, super powerful being into someone that is afraid? How do we change from one thing to the other one?
Well, pretty easily, honestly, and without even realizing it, we can really go from this space of being open and in love, in a space of love, to being in fear. And it starts when we're young. I mean, if we, as children, and if we have children ourselves, we know how it is. You're like, oh, don't touch that. Oh, be careful. Oh, all over the place. And it just kind of gives us a sense of, oh, I've got to be afraid. I've got to be afraid. Where, if we're more open and, guiding the child in a more calm, easy way of just like, that's a choice or this is a choice, just taking it from that aspect. So that starts as children. We learn to be afraid. We're told stranger danger, all these things that are important, but from a fear aspect. And then as we grow,
I'm sorry, I just need
yeah,
to interrupt you, Michelle. I can't.
yeah,
Because you're saying that all those things that are important, and what comes to my mind is, yes, they are very important for the survival of the suit, right? Of
the
the
suit. Exactly. Yes. And we do want to educate kids about stranger danger, but there's a difference. When I moved to a new neighborhood years ago, and my kids wanted to play outside. And people would say, well, you don't let them play outside alone. And I'm like, of course I let them play outside alone. We live in this neighborhood. That would be like cruel for me to say, we live in this great place, but you can't play out there. So I took great care to talk to them and about strangers and about people and about safety, uh, giving them tools so that they felt in control of the situation. So they didn't need to feel in fear playing outside, right? Plus, I checked on them regularly. There are things that we can do. But yes, it's all about feeling safe in the suit. So then we grow and we start watching the news. And really, the bottom line, and now it's social media, what sells is fear, right? If they can, that's what we click on. Like, how can we be safe? We want to be safe. We want to be secure. And especially during these months that we've been in this pandemic, it's all about fear. And we see the numbers every single day. We're shown numbers that grow, which is there to grow fear, right? And it's a challenge not to give into that, to remind yourself that that is something that you're seeing, but that is not you. And you can take that number, you can educate yourself about that number, but you don't have to be in fear, because when we get in fear, we get stuck. Like
fear
literally
is
nothing
a
flows.
slow and like both slow and low vibration.
Yes.
What happens to our
Yes.
physical body when we're vibrating like that?
Um, well, it's not good, right? So our chakras have energy and they vibrate, right? And it's like the lower three, they vibrate slower and lower, and the upper three vibrate really high. And emotions all have an energy as well. So like you said, fear is low and slow. Um, the important thing to note is that it is low and it is slow, but that it is still energy. It still wants to move. It still wants to be in motion. It just takes a little longer to move up and out, right? Like if we think of joy, joy comes in quick and it can also leave quickly, right? Um, Grief, fear, really, fear, we're only capable of two emotions, love and fear. And so it's fear and fear's family, which is sadness, depression, anxiety, grief, frustration, all those emotions, right? And then love and its family, joy, happiness, gratitude, all those.
Fear and
So
his
it's
cabinet.
what?
Fear and his cabinet. The whole.
Yes, exactly. So regardless of what we're feeling, they're just heavy. They are heavy. They're meant to be heavy. And I believe that they're meant to be heavy so that we pay attention to them, because they're here to speak to us. They're here to educate us or bring awareness to something within us that we might want to look at or that we might want to be aware of.
How do we I agree a lot with you in the value of those bad, quote unquote feelings, the negative, quote unquote. I super agree in the fact that there is a purpose for those feelings and that we shouldn't just disregard them. That philosophy of good vibes only, it's not only unreal but unsustainable, and puts you
Yes.
in a very fake state of mind. How do we process, how do we metabolize properly that fear, acknowledge it, look it in the eye without letting it sit within, without letting those feelings dwell in us?
Um, well, there's several things. One of the first things that I like to do when I realize that I'm in a fear or one of fear's covenants, space, is I I acknowledge it. I say, "Oh, hello," or something to that nature, like "Thank you for coming," whatever. And then I try to get to the root. I try to ask it what it's there for, or I try to really look with as neutral of a, you know, as neutral of a gaze as I can. And I try to see what is this about? So for instance, my husband had something, he wasn't feeling well a couple weeks ago. And I woke up, he was up in the night and I woke up and I couldn't go back to sleep. And so I was fine. And then I started thinking, oh my gosh, like, what if I have to take him to the hospital? And it went into the snowball effect of panic and anxiety and stress and fear. And so I took a breath and I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at this. And really what it was is I went down this rabbit hole of, if he has to go in the hospital and I can't go with him, oh my God. And when I sat with a neutral look at that, when I got some space between that feeling and that thought and me, I was able to see that it all breaks down to control, not feeling in control. I wouldn't be able to go with him. I wouldn't know what was going on, perhaps, if that was the situation. And that doesn't feel good. I want to know I want to be there to help and to, it's not about controlling the situation. It's just about controlling that I can be involved or not. And so once I got down to that realization that it was about control, then I was able to kind of go through different things that I can be in control of with the situation. What parts of it am I in control of? How could I exercise, kind of making a game plan? Like, what if he did have to go? Could I have a contact in there? You know what I mean? Just whatever it is that helped me in that moment. So that brought me off the cliff. Okay, that's the first step. We got to bring ourselves off that cliff because fear really is just a cliff. It's just like, you know, a cliff to nowhere. Nowhere that we want to
You
go
know
anyway.
that once I heard, Michelle, that fear is just a tiger without teeth, teeth
Yeah,
or nails.
I love that. It's so true, right? And really, that's exactly what it is. It's about taking the control back of the fear because the fear, it's the unknown that has us scared. It's not knowing and not feeling safe. So if we can find a sense of control, doesn't even matter if it's really connected to the situation or not, but if we can find something that helps us to feel in control and powerful, then that can diffuse it enough that then we can start employing some of the things that really help us to move from fear. So, um, Myrna, before we get to that, can I just mention one thing about why I think the fear is so detrimental and what it does to us physiologically?
Please do
Okay.
it.
So, and I also would like to say that I believe that we're in a pandemic of fear right now. It's an epidemic of fear that is so prevalent right now, and it is so detrimental to us as spiritual beings and human beings that we don't really understand or realize or connect with. But it is, it's bad for our immune system. It's bad for our mental health, bad for our physical health, obviously, and it disconnects us from who we really are and what we're here to do. So that being said, I think it's very important that we manage this fear, and that's really what it's about. It's not about not having it. You said earlier, you know when it's there, we're not going to say we're never going to have fear. right? That's a myth. And I know so many people who are in, working on themselves and trying to be spiritually minded. And they have this unrealistic expectation that when you do that, you're never going to be in fear. You're never going to be angry. You're never going to have all these human emotions that we're here to have as humans. That's part of it, right? We're here to learn how to manage all of this. So we're never going to get rid of it. We just want to manage. So when we are in fear, it is because we're up here. We're thinking and we're trying to use our brain to find a solution to a very emotional situation. Okay. So this brain and this brain are very different. We can't find a solution to an emotional situation up here. It can only be found in here, right? But when we are in fear, I like to think of it like a magician. And when he has his assistant and he puts her in that box and puts those metal dividers in, it's like we've got a metal divider right here. He's put the metal divider on our neck. And so we've got our head and our thinking brain. And then it's a disconnect between that and our whole body. Okay. So we're working from this space, which is not where we're most effective, which is not where we get a lot of really good things done. Yeah. Thinking is important. Don't get me wrong, but we're not really firing all cylinders from just up here. And we're definitely not
Is it like a slower
connected.
internet connection, probably? What the information we get in our minds is kind of very low resolution.
Yes, exactly. I love that. It is slower. It is low resolution. And, we're not grounded when we're up here, right? And in order to have that free flowing energy that we want, through our energy centers, into all of our cells, through our body, to have that connection of our physical body and our brain, we need to be grounded. And what I mean by that is fully connected, right? So embodied. We need to be aware of our physical body. A lot of people are only aware of their physical body when something's wrong, when they're in pain, discomfort, they've got a headache. But for the most part, we go days and days without really giving a lot of thought to our body and this miracle, this suit that that helps us to have this experience. And when we can get connected to that, then we are embodied or grounded. Okay. Now that is the only space that we can truly manage fear from. Okay. And it's the only place that we can process it. It's the only place we can make sense of it. It's the only place we can take its power and take our power back. Okay. And it's important that we know that. Now, grounding, let me stop though. I could go on for days. So let me pause, let you ask a question and give you some time.
You can go for days and we could listen to you for days. I actually, one of the things I was thinking when you say that we very rarely take care of our body, we very rarely are even aware of the fact that we have a body, is that, we even forget to drink water.
Amen.
It's so common to see people that forget to drink water. We can go days without hydrating. So it's a very funny experience because we are here, we're supposed to live a physical experience in our bodies, but at the same time, we forget about our bodies. So how come we forget about our physical body, but we also forget about our spiritual body? Where are we? Like, who's driving this car?
Well, oftentimes we've let our mind take over. That's who's driving our car, right? And our mind is neither the physical body nor the spiritual body. It's a separate part of us, right? And so it's got an agenda of its own. It wants to control, right? It wants to drive the boat. But when our mind drives the boat, it usually drives us into a place we don't really want to go. That's not for us. It's not in our highest good. It might seem like it's right, but it's unsatisfying. It's unfulfilling. We just are left hungry for more. And so,
That's the word, hungry.
yeah. And let me be clear. I am not saying that our minds are bad or that our, thinking is a bad thing, but unchecked, it can get us in a lot of trouble, or it can get us in places we don't want to be. And so we need to, what the best solution or the best scenario is when we have all of it working together, when we've got, the when they're all partners, when the mind, the body, and the spirit are together working, driving the boat, driving us in the area we want to go. And the only way we can do that is by feeling. We know we're going to think all the time, but we have to feel. We have to feel, and we have to be honest about the feelings, right? I mean, we have to be honest about all the fear that we're feeling and the overwhelm. I mean, it's palpable. You can just feel it in the air. You can feel it, that there's a blanket of fear and about so many things, not just a virus.
Not only health wise, there is a
Yes.
blanket of fear. You have said it in very good words. Now, I want to, probably backtrack a little bit. We're talking about
Sure.
how this fear is going to affect our energetic points in our body, how this is going to be translated into our well-being. So it's very funny because it looks like by taking very good care of ourselves, we are at the same time, if we don't approach it properly, we could be harming ourselves instead of staying, or keeping the wellness that we're supposed to be keeping, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And we were also talking about that maintenance, about how to approach again the fear that comes. It's like I have encountered, Michelle, that sometimes not having any fear at all, it could make us, or that position of not being vulnerable because I know more, because I know more, no? That's quote unquote.
Yes,
That's
yes.
like I know more about what I want to know. Probably there's, I'm pretty sure that there's a lot of other things I have no clue about. But it could even put us, and I talk for my own experience, in a position of, what would be that word? Lack of empathy, probably, with those that are
Mm-hmm.
actually in fear, and
Yes,
very arrogant. That's the word,
yes,
arrogant. I have
yes.
found myself in that state of mind of arrogance, like, and then I realize whenever fear comes and knock on my door, which I always say, like, okay, you can come, but don't stay.
Yeah,
Stay for the night. You can spend the
yeah,
night, but you're
that's
gone in the
it.
morning.
There you're gone.
Um,
Don't get too comfy.
yeah, metabolizing that fear,
Yes.
feeling comfortable with it. How do you were saying that the way is feeling, but it looks like, as you said, is this bar in between here and here. So
Hmm.
how do we get better in the communication between left and right parts of our brain? Is there anything that you would recommend to improve that connection between our brains?
Absolutely. So the first thing I believe is an awareness that, like you said, you know, recognizing the fear. The fear is here. Thank you, but you're not staying. Whatever kind of conversation you have, but awareness. It has to start with awareness. That's where all change begins. Step one is awareness that there's an issue, because sometimes we are so deep in the fear that we don't even realize it's an issue. It's just driving the boat, and we're happy to just be the passenger, and we don't change it because we're not aware. Okay, but once we get aware, then we can change. So awareness is the first step. And then we've got to look at it. And, I try to um, look at what the fear is about, like I said, and then answer that with something. So if it's about my health, if it's about the virus, I remind myself of all the ways I'm healthy. Or, I think that staying in the facts is very important when we're dealing with fear and all of its friends, because it has nothing to do with facts. We think it does, but it doesn't. It's just taking us on this tangent. So we want to stay in the facts. So whatever the fear is about, if it's about your sense of safety and security, remind yourself that in this moment, all is well. That's a mantra that I use a lot. Right now, all is well. Right now, I'm healthy. Right now, I'm safe. Right now, I'm comfortable, whatever it is. Okay. Because this is truly all we have is this moment, right? And the fear loves to take us to places. It doesn't want us staying in the present at all. It wants us in the past, reliving that and being depressed, or it wants us in the future, worrying and in anxiety. Okay. So if we can stay in the facts of this moment, that's really helpful. The other thing, I want to get to my notes here so I don't miss anything. I love movement. Movement is one of my favorite things for connecting from here into here and integrating all three of those parts of ourselves, the physical, the spiritual, and the mental. And that can be just a simple walk. That can even just be like putting music on and doing a little bit of dancing. It could be just walking around your house. It doesn't have to be like you have to go to the gym for 45 minutes a day. It's what works for you. And that's what I'm really wanting to get across now. This is a very important message. We are at a time and place in our history as people where we have to find tools to manage. Medicines for anxiety and depression are up at least 34%. That's a really conservative estimate. Suicide is off the charts right now. More and more people are suffering from anxiety and depression, and we have to find ways that work for us. So you don't have to do it the way it works for somebody else, is what I want everybody to know. Find what works for you. So you don't have to go to the gym 45 minutes a day. Just move a little. Start there. Same with meditation. I love meditation for managing fear and those lower vibrating emotions. But again, when I started to meditate like 18 something, I don't even know, 20 years ago, it was really hard for me because somebody told me, if you don't meditate for 35 to 45 minutes a day, you will get no benefit. And I took that to heart because I trusted the person, and it was really hard for me and I didn't feel successful. And so I really beat myself up. Talk about this mind having a heyday with all that, about how I was broken or I couldn't or whatever. And then one day I thought, you know what, I'm going to just try this a different way. And I set my timer for 5 minutes, and it was wonderful. It was like 5 minutes of peace and quiet, and it was manageable, and I loved it. And so and now, I started there, and now I have a meditation practice that I do daily that I can't not do. But it started from there, right? Because I gave myself permission to take it and tweak it for me. So we've got to do that. But meditation is, even if it's just simply, allowing your brain to get some space, which goes along with the breath. I think breath work is super important. When we breathe a deep belly breath, that actually gives a physiological sign to our brain to slow down. It's the only thing we can do that'll help our thoughts slow. And for all of us, especially when you're in the fear, the thoughts are so fast and so furious, you can't even think. You can't land anywhere. So the goal is to just slow those down enough. We're not going to get rid of them, right? We just want to slow them down enough that we can take a breath and take a pause and go, ooh, maybe that doesn't serve me, that thought right there. I'm not sure I want to go there. Okay. Music. I love music for raising our vibration, for helping us move those fear emotions and all of that energy, especially like classical music. I love classical music. I love cello music because it is low and slow. So it really connects with those lower 3 chakras and gets that energy moving, which, when our energy is pulled in those lower 3 chakras, that's when we're really, when we are susceptible to depression and anxiety. I also love, there's some Kundalini music and things like that, but whatever speaks to you. Sometimes it's Rage Against the Machine, let's be honest. You know what I mean? It's like, I just, whatever music I'm going to connect with, that's what I want that day. Um, Focus on what you love. I love to do that. Spending just a few moments in a memory of a time that just filled you with love and joy is enough to open your heart center and get things flowing. Okay. Affirmations can be very, very helpful. There's a lot of people have a lot of opinions about affirmations. I myself feel if they help you, then good for you. And if they don't, it's okay. Find something else. There's tons of tools out there. One thing that is really helpful for me is journaling. I love to journal. And oftentimes just getting it out on paper is enough to get the energy to start flowing again. And that block of fear to move. Of course, I love essential oils because they can, if they're high quality and they're the right ones, they can really help us move those blocks and get energy flowing. And salt, clean, full mineralized salt. I can't say enough about that because we are full of positive ions, which are very detrimental. They are not positive for us at all. We get them from all the electronics that we use all day, from other people, from fluorescent lights and chemicals, and even our own thoughts, our own fear thoughts can cause them. And they don't leave us. We don't, metabolize them out like we do other toxins. They just sit, and we need a negative ion to go in and attach and pull them out. And clean, full mineralized, non-treated salt is a negative ion. We can't all get to the beach all the time. We can't all get to a waterfall, right? We can't get to these natural ionizers that we have in our world. So we have to be able to find something to help us with that. Salt lamps are a wonderful option. And I mean, that's a lot of options there. So.
What I love is the fact that you brought the fact that you didn't meditate before because someone told you about the 40 minutes, and it's super funny because I find the same being super real. Same way which diets are not for everyone, or this diet is not, it could work for me but not for you. The shampoo can work, there are different types of hair. Like meditation is the same, or whatever practice that you have or you want to practice is the same. You're going to have to find the one that suits your needs and your path. Michele,
absolutely,
we are not alone. We have company, and I'm going to start telling you the questions that they have for you.
Wonderful. Okay.
We are simultaneously through YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, Bond Life, VK, and let's go ahead and start getting questions. We are getting even questions in Spanish, so I'm going to be translating. You are gonna see me. If my English is going to be even, worst if it could happen. Carmen Juarez, I'm interested in finding out how you know so much, or how you get so much knowledge. What would you suggest to people who are interested in learning? Possibly some books, or maybe a curriculum, or any kind. Like if someone wants to start in the path of getting to know energy working, or learning about the other part of our body, that part that we cannot see, but we are very well aware that exists.
Yes,
you can't deny
yes.
it. If someone wants to know about it, what would you recommend? Where should they start?
Well, I always love to go to YouTube or, a channel like Mindalia TV, where there's a lot of different people with a lot of different perspectives, because I think it's important. That's how we are going to be able to find different tools that'll help us. And it's really about our spiritual toolbox. We want to have a nice, full spiritual toolbox so that we can go there when we need them. I always suggest starting with some just quiet time for yourself, some meditation. So if you don't like just quiet, find a meditation, on Spotify or YouTube or something like that. Abraham Hicks is a wonderful place to start. Really, for years, and I go back to them every once in a while because we forget about these foundational things. But Louise Hay has amazing meditations for morning and evening that's a great way to start. But just start. As far as books, I love The Easiest Way by Mabel Katz. She is the,
We love her. She's Mindalia's. Oh, hold on. We're here. Let me see. Hey, Michelle, can you see me? Okay, we are still here. Thank you for your patience. We had a little bit of a technical difficulty, but we are back with Michele. Michele, we still have questions. Do you, by any chance, remember what was the topic, the exact phrase in which you were, or should we just bring the next question?
I think that's it. The Louise Hay, Abraham Hicks, and then Mabel Katz. I think that those are three great places to start.
That is a great idea. And the next question is about how to clean your chakras. And you're an expert on the field. Tell us how to do that.
Well, one way is with sound. You can do this. There are several, and I do this like iTunes, Spotify type of thing. You can go and find some chakra clearing music or crystal bowls, things like that. And you can do a meditation with that. That'll clean your chakras. Like I said, music also does that. You can do a visualization, just imagining sitting with each chakra. Each chakra has a corresponding color. It's like the rainbow. red, orange, yellow, blue, green, indigo, violet. You can imagine that color, coming into the chakra and opening it and getting it in flow. Movement again. Movement automatically gets our energy going. That's a wonderful way.
Thank you,
And
Michele.
then the salt. I'm also going to say the salt. Salt is really clean, full mineralized salt is essential.
Well, thank you for that answer. And there was also a question when we got into the technical difficulty. I don't have it anymore, but I remember a little bit about it, and it was about negative thoughts. What to do when those negative thoughts, that fear, start reaching us. How to stop the thread of negative emotions and thoughts. What would be your recommendation?
Well, again, it starts with the awareness. So the most important part is, first we have to become aware of the thought and that it's taking us down a path that we don't want it to. And from there, we can make a determination of what will help that thought. So like I said, it might be going into the facts of the situation, not, what you think, but what actually is, not what you're afraid of, but what actually is. It might be movement again, breath. Just really what it's about is pressing pause. If we can just get a pause in the thought, then we can take control of it. Then we can find what we need to do to take control of it. And it's like it's a little bit like a toddler. When you have a toddler and they're insistent on doing something that you don't want them to do, you have to reframe them and reposition their focus 100 times sometimes. You know what I mean? But you just keep doing it. You just keep doing it. And eventually they let go and they come to something else, right? It's the same with our mind. We just need to keep practicing because really our mind, for most of us, our minds have had their way. They've driven the boat for so long. They're just used to it and we're used to it. So it's a pattern that we just have to, it's a habit and we just have to get comfortable with a new habit.
Thank you, Michele. We have reached the end of our conversation. We've been talking for 45 minutes already. And before leaving, of course, I want to give you a moment for your closing thoughts.
I just want to say thank you again for allowing me to be here with you today. I just love you and this platform, and the work that you guys do is so important, and I'm honored to be a part of that. And I just want to let everybody know that, this time that we're in, it feels scary, it feels uncertain, and there's a lot that we could be afraid of, but we want to do everything that we can or our best to stay connected with those three parts of us all combined, with our energy flowing up and out and around all the time, so that we are effective and we are living the life that we want and raising our vibration, because that's just going to help the entire planet. Us helping ourselves helps everyone.
Thank you again, Michele. Before leaving, of course, we just want to remind the people that are with us who we are. We are Mindalia. We are an international non-profit organization. Our mission is just to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness in the planet. You can collaborate with us just by liking our content. You can share our content with someone that you think that may benefit of what we discussed. You can subscribe to our channel, follow us in our different platforms, or you can even give us a donation in our website, www.mindalia.com. When you do that, you're just helping us reach as much people in the planet as possible, and you also help us develop more content, more spaces like the space we just had with Michele Snelling. Having said that, we have nothing else by now to say, but thank you again. We are sending you a very big hug, and until next time, thank you.